Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Cruncher with the first installment of the Beyond Report. Covering the, recapping the events of the various issues of Amazing Spider-Man to tie into Spider-Man Beyond, on account of the fact that we're looking at having at least three per month for the foreseeable future. So, might be a good idea to get everything kind of straight in our heads. Now, I was actually initially planning to do this kind of as it were in universe, but I don't know. I really tried to come up with some ideas, but it just none of them really popped. I was it was going to be kind of having some fun with the concept as well as poking fun at the reactionary geeky YouTubers, the ones like quartering geeks and gamers, heels versus babyface, and so forth. But yeah, and with that, that was another part was that I do have a degree of ability as an actor. Acting that disingenuously moronic is outside of my range. But anyway, so for this, we'll actually be covering the first three issues of the Spider-Man Beyond arc, as well as the Spider-Man Beyond prelude, I guess, from Free Comic Book Day, Spider-Man and Venom. So which is what we'll actually kick things off with. And we're just going to be looking at the Amazing Spider-Man portion. It's set in Dallas. And Spider-Man's kind of going through. Ben Reilly is getting a test run as the Beyond Corp Spider-Man dealing with Bushwhacker. Bushwhacker is a B-lister, C-lister. I guess it depends on the day of the week. But he's got I don't know how exactly to describe it, but basically, he can make. At the very least, he can make guns out of with his arms. It's like I want to say it's like biotech to a degree, but yeah. So Spider-Man deals with him and messes up his arm cannons pretty well. But afterwards, he meets with Dr. Marcus of Beyond Corp, the head of his support team, and basically, that he's in, and they also make a point of getting rid of the old Scarlet Spider costume. But Ben does kind of comment about the fact that, asking if people will confuse him with the real Spider-Man, and Marcus tells him that as far as the Beyond Corporation is concerned, from this day forward, Ben is the real Spider-Man. But to be completely honest, I kind of get the feeling that Bushwhacker was kind of put in play. Was kind of the Beyond Corporation basically arranged for Bushwhacker to be there at that moment for Ben to take care of. But anyway, moving on to the first part of Spider-Man Beyond, Amazing Spider-Man number 75. We got this really neat wraparound cover. I'll show you guys right quick. I know I showed it off in the roundup when we got it, but yeah, still. That Art Adams shot of both Ben and Peter. Anyway, so Now this begins an entire uh, a fresh start for Amazing Spider-Man, as Nick Spencer's run just came to an end with Amazing Spider-Man number 75, Legacy number 876, I believe. But it begins after the events of after dealing with Kindred in the Spencer run. Peter's dealing with quite a bit of trauma. He's been through a lot at the hands of Kindred, and this includes nightmares. But yeah, the fact that one of his best friends is dead, Harry Osborn, again. But Spidey does the whole, web slinging thing, and then he runs into Ben. Ben uses some of his Beyond Tech to subdue Peter. And later, or the next day at ESU, Peter and Ben run into one another, with Ben basically saying that he, explaining the whole situation, that the Beyond Corporation snatched up the copyright to Spider-Man, and they want Ben to be their Spider-Man. But he kind of explains that it's a done deal. He's going to be their Spider-Man, and he's more than anything he wants. He's maybe take some time off of the whole Spider-Man thing, and then he also has that he's not really asking him to do so. He's low key telling him to. And the Beyond Corporation, excuse me. Well, they've got Ben's got an apartment high up in the their tower, alongside his girlfriend Janine. But apparently there's some. But yeah, we basically get to see Ben and Peter both talking with their support staff, as it were. Ben talking with Janine, also Dr. Marcus. Peter talking with MJ. And it does feel a little shitty to refer to her as a support staff, but I mean she literally is, that's one of the things that she is there for, is to be supportive of Spidey, Peter. So yeah. But Peter tells MJ what's going on, and she's a little hesitant about the whole Ben Riley thing, because, as she puts it, when Ben's around, things happen, none of them good. However, just as he's about to tell her about the talk that him and Ben had, turns out that the UFOs are attacking ESU. And MJ reminds him that he really does need to process everything that's happened with Kindred. And Peter knows, but it's not going to be today. So goes to ESU, where the face off with the UFOs, and it turns out that Ben's already there. But we get to see some of the fun toys that Ben has in his spider suit. Kinetic sensitive foam that locks under impact, so that he can basically take a punch from Ironclad. He's got various filtration devices through in the costume, so that he doesn't have to worry about radiation. And he's also got lead-lined gloves, so he can basically punch through the head of one of them. Kind of, it's more of a disruption thing than, but yeah. That said, Ben's got all that. Peter has none of that, and well, what Peter does have is an acute case of radiation poisoning. Before moving on, we get a little bit of some little backups. All set, if I remember, 2 weeks ago. One being with Missy Knight and Colleen Wing getting recruited to help Ben. Another one is Dr. Marcus recruiting Dr. Kafka to help with Ben. And then that's pretty much it for part one. Now I'll be completely honest, much like I brought up with the Free Comic Book Day story, I kind of feel like the Beyond Corporation actually put the UFO, got the UFO, basically put them, in a spot for Ben to do his shtick publicly. Moving on to the next part, we got Amazing Spider-Man number 76. Now, a fun little point about all this is that while there will likely be points where one writer writes multiple issues in a month, there's an entire team of writers working together and taking turns writing the book. They're being referred to in the book credits as the Beyond Board. We got Kelly Thompson, Cody Ziegler, Saladin Ahmed, Patrick Gleason, and Zeb Wells. So, Peter has an acute case of radiation poisoning, and he's been taken to the hospital by Ben. Ben makes a point of letting both MJ and Aunt May know. But Peter goes into convulsions, kind of like his spider sense is going just off the chain. And Peter kind of realizes the danger that his spider sense is reacting to is something inside his body trying to kill him. Turns out that going to the hospital, Ben slipped out of his spider suit and also made up one of getting Peter out of his to protect their anonymity, which is not something that the Beyond board Beyond is too happy with. But Ben does tell Janine what happened. Presumably, their place is bugged to a degree that would have the CIA accusing them of being paranoid. But back at the hospital, May arrives. She's not happy. Also, Peter's doing a little bit better, but she wants Peter to make sure he gets the best care. But Missy and Colleen show up, and it seems like they're and they're on Ben's side. Ben's feeling a little shitty about how Peter's doing, and Marcus is like, there is no other Spider-Man. It's just Ben. But once again, Ben slips out of the costume and goes to see Peter, and this time asks for Peter's blessing after getting a bit of a talking to from MJ. But yeah. But Peter decides, yeah, he is willing to share being Spider-Man with Ben. And after Ben leaves, Peter confides in MJ that he can't feel his body. Meanwhile, Ben goes after the UFOs once again, while Peter's not doing that great, in fact slips into a coma. But against the UFOs, this time, Ben utilizes vacuum bearings for vapor, lead shaft to take down X-ray, but yeah, he pretty promptly takes down the UFOs. But yeah, these first couple issues were written by Zeb Wells, and the third part was written by Kelly Thompson. I think we've also got a rotating art team, that I could, or maybe not. Oh yeah, a little bit of one. Having one artist do 3 comics in a single month is not an easy ask, I would think. So, Amazing Spider-Man number 77. It begins with Ben training with Colleen and Misty. Misty's using live ammo, because of course she is. But Maxine Danger, who's the head of superhero deployment for the Beyond Corporation, wants to have a chat with Ben. So they talk. Basically, she needs him to basically tell her that he wants to be their Spider-Man. We also get some nods to some of the more amusing types of science that the Beyond Corporation does, including killer drop bears, broccoli men, and the band Thunder Thighs. Also, they have a sandwich department. Something truly terrifying has apparently been created in there. What? We don't know. Just someone is one of the members of the sandwich department has come out of it asking just what they've done. But Maxine and Peter chat on Peter's way to therapy with Dr. Kafka. And he begins to talk about a memory from his childhood. But there's a part of it that's missing. And he knows it shouldn't. He can't. There was something Aunt May said to him that. And the other time he'd remember it just fine, but this time it's not there. But Kafka writes it off as probably just stress, got a lot on his mind, and so maybe something slipped, But she's also going to trying to see about getting him a night or two off, And Ben says, that Janine would definitely appreciate an uninterrupted date night. Back at the hospital, May and MJ are watching over Peter. May is not intending to leave Peter's bedside, because the last time she did, he went into a coma. She also asks if MJ could maybe, pull some strings of her own to maybe get any kind of help. Apparently, she did, and we can call him Dr. Strange, Tony Stark. Dr. Strange is what's the best way to put this? Otherwise, Doctor Strange dead. Doctor Strange is, dead. Tony Stark, well, apparently he's not back from space, but Ben and Misty are. I don't know there. Also, watching from the window, there's one other women of Peter Parker's life, Felicia Hardy, aka the Black Cat. But Ben and Janine have a nice little moment together when he gets back from therapy, with Janine mentioning it that she finds it amusing that his therapist is named Kafka, and she keeps on expecting him to return half spider, half cockroach. However, before Ben can get settled in, duty calls. Morbius is on the loose, and so not sure if Morbius is found over a bunch of prone, unconscious bodies. There seem to be puddles of blood, but doesn't mean that Morbius didn't, do anything. Everyone's okay. But Ben tries to talk things out with Morbius, but Morbius isn't really in the talking mood at the moment, and manages to get a drop on Ben. And the issue ends with Morbius sinking his fangs into Ben's neck. And that is where the issue ends. Now, one other thing. Not this month, but I think next month, I'm fairly certain, at least starting next month, there will be additional tie-in issues, which will be like offshoot issues. I think the first one is either an offshoot issue of 77 or of 78. It is 77 or 78 .BEY. During the Spencer run, there were a few points where this was done. I think definitely during the Last Remains arc, but I'm pretty sure there were other points too. So, but anyway, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.